This podcast is on a mission to end the orphan crisis. You're listening to Family is the Answer, powered by Podcast Network Asia. We share resources and stories to equip families who plan to adopt and foster, empower advocates who fight for vulnerable mothers and children, and invite communities to impact generations. I'm Karissa Henson, the Executive Director for Generations Home, a nonprofit organization and licensed child placement agency based in the Philippines. Learn more about our work through our website, generationshome.org. Now, let's jump in to this week's topic.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Family is the Answer podcast. This episode is our Holy Week episode. For those of you who are not Filipinos, in the Philippines, to commemorate Jesus' sacrifice and resurrection, we have a whole week dedicated to it. And so many Filipinos, or the whole nation, stops and remembers what Jesus has done for us. And so I'm so excited because today I am not alone. I have a co-host with me. He's not a stranger, but he's not here as often as I would like. I hope he would be here more often. But he is one of the founders of Generations Home. He is also famously known as the husband of Queen Henson.
That's right. That's my identity.
Please welcome Jonathan Henson. Thanks, John, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited. And we're not alone as well. We have a very good friend of mine, Alex Mendelson, whose story has really inspired me and my family as a father. Myself, who has adopted his story, and he was adopted himself, and is now a stepfather himself as well. He's an amazing film producer, TV producer, former actor, celebrity, like a famous guy.
I do things.
So we're just so excited to hear his story and really what God has done in your life, and how God has led you to where you are now. And it's an unfinished story, right? But yeah, we're just so excited.
Well, thank you for having me, man. I've been looking forward to this for like a year. I've been looking forward to this. So I'm honored to be here. Thank you for thinking about me. And I've been praying, honestly, for the opportunity to share about it. It's not, I knew that what I had to go through was something I knew that I needed to share. But I had to go through a period of time until I really recognized that it was something that actually can multiply and help people. Right. So it's one thing to know it, to experience it, but then saying, now that you know this, now share it. Mm-hmm. And it's not, I'm not impressed by me, because a lot of what I have to share is not something that I did. I was just obedient to do it. And then I saw the fruit of it, and I saw it impact people. And it was, I was reminded, like, man, God could do a lot by a simple act of just trusting him, what he says, on truth, and basing on that, and seeing it happen. So yeah, I'm excited to be here to do this. I've been looking forward to, for a while.
Yeah. Alex, maybe you could share with us why you're here.
Let's do it.
Why you're here? I know John said a little bit about it, but can you share with us your story of from childhood?
Yeah, well, I was born here in the Philippines, and I was given up for adoption at 5 months old, and I was adopted and raised in the United States for most of my life. So that's the basis of it. I spent most of my life in a half Jewish, half Roman Catholic family. So I grew up around, not even that, just Americans, white Americans, and I stood out. So my basis of what my story started was pretty much I knew that I was not where I originally came from. So I had this I guess a standard being like, man, had to explain and share to people that I'm from somewhere that I don't know. That affected me a lot, and I had to learn how to either justify or try to get some kind of normalcy to that reality. See, I didn't really want to think much about it. I didn't want to think about it. I came from another country. I just wanted to be a kid. I just wanted to be a son. But I was always confronted with the reality of who are your real parents? And I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. That's my mom, that's my dad. But they're like, but no, you were No, you're not. Those are your adopted parents, who are your real parents. And I didn't have the answer. So I had a lot of things I had to adjust to that I didn't want to adjust to. And that actually affected me. But by the grace of God and by being with the parents I had, they were very transparent with me about where I came from. They were just very honest with me. That's actually probably the first thing that happened first. Just really honest with me. You come from a different country. There's nothing to be ashamed about. We just don't know. And quite frankly, we don't know if we actually ever really know. But we love you. You're our son. And man, that really was the basis for me to finding security. Because as an adopted child, and I've seen this in many patterns with people who are adopted, when you have that disruption of being separated from your biological family, you lose what I like to call, I don't know if this is a psychological term or terminology for it, you actually get cut off from knowing a point of reference. Mm-hmm. So most people, even if it's a bad home or a good home, they can say, I look like my dad, and I understand if I do this, I kind of can mirror that, okay, so if my dad does it and I do it, I can know that it comes from somewhere. I didn't really have that. So whenever I would feel things, experience things, or express certain things, or process certain things, and I realized I couldn't relate to my adopted parents, it left a lot of room for insecurity to think, man, I don't understand, why do I feel the way that I feel? And there's also another aspect to me that was that I had a hard time feeling validated with how I feel. Because I don't understand why you're like that. But it's okay. But I had a hard time kind of feeling like, I kind of described it as, it almost felt like most of my childhood was like, I was just floating right above the ground, but I couldn't get on the ground. And so whenever I would try to feel confident, it was very hard for me to get my footing. And that's what it felt for a really long time. By the age of 12, I went to a Christian camp, and that's where I encountered Jesus. So despite my environment, how loving it was, and either perfect or imperfect, good or bad, I always had this deep-rooted insecurity. I had a deep sense of rejection. I had a deep sense of fear, a deep sense of abandonment, and yet none of my circumstances around me ever pointed to the reason why I would have that. A lot of self-hatred too. And I had this, and it was just like, man, how am I ever going to get over this? But when I went to that camp at 12 years old, I encountered the Lord in a very powerful encounter. I was being shared the gospel in my cabin. My eyesight goes vertigo. And I hear the Holy Spirit. I didn't know it was the Holy Spirit. And he said, Alex, Jesus is the way, the truth, and life. He is real. And when I felt that, all that pain, all that insecurity quenched immediately. And I felt something I never knew it even existed. I felt peace, and I felt at home. And I was like, what is this? And I was like, I recognized it because all of a sudden it's almost like you drain the water of the pool and you realize, oh, wow, I was actually in the pool. And I realized, like, wow, this feels amazing. What is this? So I was already sold. The moment that I saw it, I was already sold, knowing I don't know who this Jesus guy is, and I'll just have a basic faith that he does exist. And if he does exist and he can help me heal from this, I'm on board. So I had no knowledge of it. It turned out to be, I was there supposed to be for a week. It turned out to be a whole summer because my parents were like, I just want a vacation, not to hang out with Alex. And they're like, let him go. And by the end of the summer, when they heard, like, I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior, they're like, what happened to you? We went there thinking you're just going to be away for the summer. And I encountered my Savior. And so that was something else. So I came to a realization, okay, this Jesus guy, this Holy Spirit that now dwells within inside of me, is actually a real, tangible thing that can help me. It took years until I realized, okay, I had to get used to that and learn how to study him, learn about him. But before I even knew how to, I guess, harness that and understand that, it was demonstrated around me. Demonstrated by people that I loved, that understood, that were emotionally intelligent. Actually, to kind of add to it, I remember one of the things that happened for me was I got to a church that had an emotional healing ministry. So that they were very emotionally intelligent, psychologically intelligent, and by their example, I was able to see, okay, they know something that I don't, and if I just do what they're doing, I will see a tangible results. So before I even had knowledge of the Bible, because I didn't read it, I'm being honest, I wasn't reading for years, but they would demonstrate it for me. And in that process, which I can get to that later, in that process, about 2014, 2015, I'm kind of skipping over the timeline, the Lord came to me and he spoke to me very clearly. He's like, Alex, I want you to find your biological parents. And I was like, I must be crazy because that's like the dumbest thing. I don't know how that's possible. I don't know anyone in the Philippines. So I was literally looking at an impossible situation. Statistically, even by looking at it statistically, the chances of me actually landing that and making it work was very, very hard. Not only I have this culture difference, language barrier, I don't know anybody. And he said, just trust me, be faithful, and just believe in it that I can do it, and it will happen. So 5 years go by, nothing happened. I try to do everything. I try to make a movie out of it. I try to make it like podcasts, try to talk to people. I even had a producer who was interested, and the doors kept shutting on me. And this is the part where I'm amazed how God could do this stuff, and how invested he was. And then all of a sudden, I was like, nothing was working out. I was like, nothing's actually tangibly working. So what I don't understand, you told me this would happen. Either you're playing a really cruel joke, because now within that 5 years, I had something inside of me that I didn't need to have resolved. So he was very invested in something going on here. I was trying to do it my own way, but either way, I was like, now you brought this up inside of me. Are you evil? Are you mean? Because now I need answers. And either that or I'm gonna leave. I'm just gonna give up on this because this is really stupid. And he said, when I was honest with him and I opened up with that, I felt like he acknowledged that prayer. Within 2 months of saying that, I go viral on Facebook. Someone shared my story to all the radio stations here. And I'm all of a sudden being asked to be flown out, do a DNA test, and I got on Kupusimo Jessica Soho. Within 2 months after I prayed that. And it was not even much of I didn't have like super ultra faith. I didn't have to be like, I'm gonna be super cool and try to do it. It just happened for me. I go on the show and I'm face to face with my parents. With my mother first. And that's how it started. And there's a lot more to that, but that's pretty much the basis of everything. Yeah. And like I said, everything I went through is not even an attribution of what I did. It was just simply just believing that, having some measure of faith. I didn't really had a lot of faith, to be quite honest. I actually challenged it a lot, but it was just like, okay, God, I will choose this if this is what you want. If I can get to that basic level, then if you can do that, I'll work with that. And he did it. So yeah, so that's where it came from. The rest is just a lot of learning back and forth of how to navigate that. And it's a whole story in itself, but that's kind of like the base root of it. And I'm telling you, man, he's very, I can say this, God is very invested in orphans. He's very invested in adopted children. Mm-hmm. Why? Because if you cut children off from their natural nurturing state, they now have something that humans can't fix, only God can fix. Yeah. And I know that a lot of psychologists can say symptoms, something's wrong. But it's like he knows that I'm the only one who can bring the wholeness and the healing that they are looking for. And I just need people to be obedient and have the courage to follow that. And if you can do that, it's amazing how much you'll come through. People they don't think that's possible. And it's scary even. And a lot of the things I did was definitely scary because he started opening things up. And I thought, how can I face that? I don't know how to do that. Imagine being asked, saying like, I want to heal your heart, but on something that you can't remember. That's scary, man. You're telling me, how am I supposed to heal from something that I can't remember? And this is what happened. So early on when I felt called to do it, it was funny because I sent God to me, send people to me that would talk and affirm this thing that I'm getting from God. People would come up to me, you're meant to find your biological parents. One time my pastor came up to me and said, you know what, he came up to me and he said this, the healing you're looking for is actually connecting when you're adopted. And I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? I'm just trying to understand the sermon. And it would happen during worship service. I'm like, what is going on? So he's God saying there's something in here that you need to heal from in order for you to benefit the rest of your life and for other people. But that's a scary thing because all of a sudden he's talking about something I have no memory of. But he's saying it's real. Yeah. You just can't see it. Yeah. And I'm like, that's scary, man. Yeah. So I had to be like, okay, God, if you have healing for me, do it. I don't know what to do. Show me. I'm just a child. I'm like, that's like 1 Kings 3. Like, I'm just a child in this. I can't go in or out. I don't know where I'm going. Just teach me. What does that mean? And through the grace of God, through other people, I learned that.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful because I think because you stepped into that new relationship with God, right? Mm. He wants you whole.
Yeah.
And completely healed. And I guess maybe like throughout your journey, that would always be something that would always be a question mark maybe in your mind. And I think it was really brave of you to really trust God to bring you back to that place of the unknown. And it might also be even scary because you have no idea what you're going to face or what you're going to expect. Yeah. And I actually watched your feature in Kapuso Mo, Jessica, so years before I even knew who you were, before I saw you in church. And I was really moved. But I know that there are layers to that kind of journey of meeting your biological parents or searching for your biological parents, not just for you, but also for your biological parents and your adoptive parents as well. And I wanted to ask, like, can you share a little bit of that journey, or what was your biological parents' reaction to you wanting to search for biological parents, and just that journey moving forward of finding your birth mom?
Yeah, so when like I said a little bit earlier, that when it started off, I had no desire to do it because I kind of calculated in my mind. I was like, this is probably not going to work out, so might as well not try. But I felt God called me to do it, and then I brought it to my parents. That was definitely a hurdle at first, because now they're faced with the reality, like, oh no, I didn't realize that. Am I good enough? Did I not parent enough? And it was never actually a reflection upon their ability or their success or their failure. It was actually more of me, God wanting to actually heal something in me. And then
I just want to pause there a bit, because as an adoptive father, I mean, and some of us are already briefed that at some point, your child, no matter how good a parent you are, is going to want to meet their biological parents. And can you just maybe speak to that a little bit for us who are adoptive parents? And what would you have to say for us who have those questions in our mind? And I bet, like, even though I know these things in my mind, that maybe this is a natural thing, but it could potentially be hard for the parent on the parent side to navigate. Do you want to?
Sure. I mean, one thing is that, you're dealing with things that maybe not even the child even knows that they're doing. I've seen different variations of results. I've seen adoptees who want to, I've seen adoptees who do. And if it does come up, you can rest assured that it's nothing that you did wrong. It's just something for them that they know that it's like, I have something missing. I would really like to know why it's missing. And so it's not that on the child side, it's more like, I'm not saying this to dishonor you. And that can vary too, but sometimes people think that, but it's not usually the case. I love you. I just have something that I really need to figure out. I don't know. And for them, it's just a peace of mind. Even if it's just reference, then maybe that's what they're looking for. Sometimes it can be a mixed result too. So you're looking at that. For the parent side, you can rest assured that what they're going through is nothing reflection upon you. And you're okay to make mistakes or to succeed or fail in it. It's just something that is wired in them that they need to get figured out. If that's the case, and then they start inquiring you about it, don't let that the process of figuring out, because they're not going to know what they're really trying to figure out at first. They just know something's missing. So when they're asking you and inquiring a parent about it, just let them process it, and knowing that it's not a reflection upon you. And if they do somehow pervert that and make it about you, just understand that they probably don't know. So you don't have to be scared of it. And it could appear really scary, because all of a sudden you're dealing with something that was outside your parameters of what you were looking to look at. And for people who are looking to adopt, it's a possibility, man. I would say 50-50, maybe 60-40 chance that it could be a real situation. And it's okay. Right? And you have room to make mistakes too. Like my parents made, when they heard about it, I was like, wow, okay, now we're not, my frame of mind of how to deal with the son. For my dad, he's adopted, so it wasn't much of an issue. For my mom, man, it really hurt her feelings. It was really hard to be like, I felt a lot of shame about him, because I didn't want to hurt her feelings. Right. So it took years for me to kind of like, okay, God, first off, I understand she's just afraid. She's afraid they're going to abandon her. But the reality in my heart is that I'm not going to leave her. If anyone who look at it, she's my mom. She raised me, she fed me. I mean, if anything, I owe to her more than anything else to actually doing the hard work. So if I did find my parents, this is more, one, it was a call, then it turned to real desire. Then when finding out, I realized that the result of it was like, oh, it's actually not really, I got the peace, but now it's more than just me meeting her. It was bigger than that. It was more like, see, I care about what happens inside of you. And that's another process on its own. So if anything, I think that you don't have to take it personal. And if you do take it personal, take some time to reflect why you think that is. And I always say just really, talk to God about it, and definitely read your Bible. It sounds really Christianese to say that. But when I say that, I'm actually saying, look at cause and effect, look at principles. It's like gravity, it's like truth. The one thing that really anchored me was truth. I needed to, even if my parents were wrong, I needed to find an anchor. So even if they're right or the wrong, the good or the bad, I need to find something I can say, okay, this is secure. And that's actually what I was dealing with. I had something going on here that I just felt somewhat secure. I didn't know. But I realized, okay, if I do this, this is going to happen every single time, maybe 95% of the time. So that's what it is. Find your anchor. And if you do the principles of what you read in the Word, if you let that do that, man, it does wonders to you. So you know, like, okay, it's a sure thing. I'll be okay.
Yeah, so I think that's super useful to hear for myself and for there you go through a journey, and there are real felt needs that feel like survival, right? And as a parent, I suppose my job is really to just be present and be the safe place to allow my children to heal and to allow my children to explore and really support them in them doing their best to figure things out. Sorry, I kind of interrupted, but you were in the process of answering
another thing.
Yeah. what it was like, getting on that show and actually finding your parents, your biological parents.
So when I actually met them, that's what you want to.
Yeah, that journey.
So that part was interesting. So it's interesting how it could happen in waves. It's funny because you might want to see the result really fast. And I think every person wants that. They want to see security or assurance that what they're going towards, they can get a result out of it. I think it's just human nature. But when I faced him and I met my mother, I realized in that moment I was actually kind of numb, because I'm like, wow, God did this. Now I'm faced with a lot of different things that I didn't process before. So that on its own was actually kind of scary, because I'm like, man, I don't know how to speak the language. I don't know what she wants. She feels a lot more shame. And it was actually turned into a moment where I realized I did all the legwork, all the healing work in my life and in personal life. So when I met her, I wasn't trying to be like, you're my answer, you got to fulfill. I was in a place where I could be like, it's okay, I get it. I understand why you would feel shame, why you would feel scared, and feel like you feel, actually most of it for a while, I can tell she felt really bad for what she did. So a lot of that was like, no, I love you. It's okay. And I'm here because I'm thankful to God, one thing. And also I can look at you and I know that you did what you felt like you had to do. And thank God you made that decision. Seriously. I'm like, if you didn't take that decision, I know you're acting out of fear, but look, God used it. I'm here. And she's like, man, it blows her mind, really. She's like, I'm just grateful he can look at me and not be angry. Like, I'm not angry at you. I have no reason to be angry at you. You know, I mean, I barely even know you to start off. You know, you know what I'm saying? How can I be angry with somebody I barely even know? But then, yeah, like I said, it took about a couple of years to kind of get used to the culture, what they expected from me, and all that kind of stuff I had to run through. So there's definitely that too. You know, you realize, man, my upbringing really played a role in my mental and emotional development. And that's probably not the case for her, with her environment. So you had to be like, okay, I had to be understanding and patient with where they're at, knowing it. And it's weird, man. It's weird to kind of look at it and see, like, wow, he's back. Like, I'm like, and I get to say, do you know why I'm back? And I can point to something that is actually, because I can say God did it, and that blows their mind. Yeah. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, I have no other explanation apart from that. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, Alex, through that process, you know, like you're still speaking to your biological mom and her family, and through that whole process, what do you think that did to you? Like in your journey of like, did it affect figuring out who you are, or even your relationship with God, your relationship with others, how you saw yourself? What kind of influence or impact did that journey have on you?
Yeah, at first, I kind of went into recluse. So a lot of people wanted to get a follow-up story. I said, leave me alone. And so I realized that at that point, it was helping people and giving hope to people. I needed to kind of figure out how to navigate that. You know, going back home, my mom and dad, my dad's like, cool, whatever. You know, he was happy for me. My mom was like, am I going to lose my son? So I had to kind of like, I was like, man, I feel bad about this guy. I feel like I involuntarily hurt her. But no, it's just something she's processing. So I had to learn how to like, I don't even know, actually, to be honest with you. When I first went through it, I just didn't want to be bothered, man. Because I had to kind of get to a place where I can find an anchor, a truth I can hold on to. Because I felt, man, this is weird. There are people coming out to me, telling me they saw my story, they know me. I'm like, you don't know me, one thing. And so you're giving me attention on something that I feel like I didn't really do a lot to do. So it was kind of like, okay, how do I navigate this and just say I can find a normal, like an anchor, just something to feel like I'm normal again. So it was actually really hard to kind of feel like I felt secure. And then it was actually by the blessing of my wife that she kind of was able to give me framework. And I said, this is just how they are here, and understand certain things. I'm like, oh, okay. I misinterpreted a lot of things. And I felt kind of bad too, because I had to be in the place of being recluse and kind of doing, again, another layer of deep-rooted work. In the process of this, I could definitely say that, as human beings, just by biblical principle alone, we're meant to be fruitful. We're meant to be fruitful. So that's one of the first mandates of man. But in order to be fruitful, your roots need to go deep. And if they're not deep, if you're not dealing with the inner reality, being honest about it, and going to God about it, you will not bear good fruit. And that's actually happens to a lot of adoptees. They kind of have an uneven keeled in certain areas. And that happens with a lot of people. I'm just saying adoptees. Yeah. But like you can see like, wow, they have relational issues or connectivity or, empathy, whatever it may be. And then you kind of realize that there's something that needs to happen here. So I always say, if anyone's going through this, it's really important to be like, okay, you need to get real with yourself. You need to be real with God. You got to like handle this and know it's a good work. That's the important stuff. Because if you can get your roots deep and get something that is helpful and it helps you heal, the rest will just come naturally.
That's awesome. You've obviously processed through a lot, and you've done a lot of work. Yeah. And I think it's rare for us to be able to sit down with someone who's been adopted, and someone who's already grown up. I mean, my daughter's 8. I know some teenagers who've been adopted, but you've done a lot of work, and I just want to the extent that you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah.
Like, what was it like, or growing up? Because you did say things like, people would ask you, who's your real mom and real dad, like. And you felt like you were floating and you had no anchor, and you said the word anchor a few times. Yeah. Could you just, to the extent that you're comfortable, paint a picture for us of what that identity was like for you now, that with the benefit of having done the work and being able to look back at it, right? What was growing up like? Obviously, your parents. We want to honor them too. They had the courage. They loved you like their own, and that's amazing. And I don't want to. I mean, it's not necessarily because of their parenting, but it's really just because of your background, right? Yeah. And it's shaped who you are. Yeah. So yeah.
Sure. I guess the best way I can frame it is that the first thing when it came to any process, because that's just one of many processes, but to kind of get to a place that I can actually work through it, was that I had to learn first to be real with myself. And I had a hard time just doing that because I didn't want to face it because it hurt a lot. Actually, a lot of stuff I was going through, I don't even want to think about it, man. I have more security actually hating myself because I know I get something out of it in some way, some twisted thing. Like, it sounds awful, but like I had a problem. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like it. I hated the way I looked. I wanted to be white. I wanted to be like my parents. I want to be Jewish. I want to be whatever this is. So but I didn't know that there was an alternative to that. So I was thinking and I wasn't real with myself and feeling like, all right, I know this really sucks, but at least it's something. But I didn't realize that, man, that's not good. That's not right. And that was actually demonstrated through other people that called it out. They're like, man, it's not good that you can think that about yourself. So I had to, so now that I know there's an alternative, I then had to be honest with myself. Why do I process it? So it was like a self-awareness thing. Yeah. So I know the scripture says you worship God in spirit and in truth. Truth doesn't always feel good. It's just truth. It's even if it's the truth of that perception you have, at least something, but you had to come to acknowledge it of it. At first, you had to acknowledge it. it's not that you're right or you're wrong. You just have to acknowledge it. And that was my first thing I had to do, especially through that. Because I was like, man, I just hate myself. I hate myself. I hate myself. And that was hard, man. That was really hard to break that. But until I hit my head hard enough many times to realize that I wasn't growing from it. I was like,
so you had to acknowledge one, that it was there, and two, that it was not, that it had to stop.
Yeah, I didn't even have knowledge of it. So it was
just automatic.
It was just automatic. And that's a scary thing, to think that I had something engraved in me that was imprinted in me in whatever way, that I had to like first get knowledge that even existed. So I didn't even know it even existed. So I was like, why do I hate myself? And I didn't even know that that was a thing. You know what I mean? It was just so second nature to do it. But when I realized it, I was like, man, this sucks. To be honest, I don't like this. How is there an alternative? And even I was like looking at it. And then when I saw other people and they weren't hating themselves, like something's wrong. And I can't even get all the deal. I realized something's wrong with this. Why do I? And then when I go and honest to God, I couldn't really express this to my parents at first because they didn't know how to handle it. They weren't as emotionally intelligent. So even when I was young, I was like, God, why do I hate myself? And like in those moments, I actually cried out to God in honesty and in poor in spirit. It's like, is there an option for me not to be depressed? And he said, yes, there is. And like just little moments in my life, and I didn't even know him. And he's just like, there is. And I'm like, okay, so there's a possibility, but I got to get real with myself. Why? And I would journal, actually. That helped a lot too. I was just like, why do I think this? And when I wrote it down, I was like, this is crazy. Like, why do I believe this? And it hurt because I bought into it, or I was involuntarily fed it. And I was like, is it my parents who did it? No, I just have this. What is this? That was the first.
So what I'm hearing is there's some things that are just innate or intrinsic. Like it was just, it was ingrained in you, and it became automatic. And it took some time for you to even realize that those things were not okay, that those things were normal, because it was just those things aren't normal because it was normal to you. And one of the things I'm realizing as a father is, like you also mentioned, I didn't know how to bring this up with my parents, because I imagine if a child brings it up with parents, a parent would automatically say, what did I do wrong?
Yeah, right? Word. Yeah, 100%. It's a real legitimate question.
So one, as a parent, I suppose, to also be preparing our own hearts for those kinds of conversations, and to preparing the relationship for those, to be safe enough for those conversations to be had. Because I could imagine how it probably was scary to bring it up.
Yeah.
No matter how good the parents are.
Yeah, it's very scary.
So I'm thinking, like, I can start from now to have the kind of relationship where I'm thinking of my daughter and start to get emotional. Imagine growing up different and you don't know how to bring it up, because if I brought it up, my parents would probably feel bad. Yeah. And that's another weight on top of everything that she's carrying. But how can I begin to, even in the small ways, build a safe place, that kind of relationship where she can just be at peace with, and have and not have to worry about what is my dad going to think about this. And I can just go with freely, just like we were able to do to the Father. Like, I imagine what prevents people from going to God, and we and when He's the answer, it's because I'm afraid, and that fear is going to stop me. But approaching Him is the solution, is the healing. It really is. So it's funny how that works. Like that's the answer, but I'm afraid to get the answer, and it's this story that we just build in our heads. But how do we? So I'm just learning.
It's interesting. I remember one thing that helped me a lot growing up was I loved movies, because it helped assimilate realities to kind of say, oh, it's actually a possibility. So it was able for me to be like, oh, that's cool. I wish it could be like that. There was a movie scene, I forgot what movie it was. The person asked a very difficult question, and she's like, it's like in the mentor, the person who's kind of like should have all the answers, like, well, I don't know, but we can figure it out together. And I was like, oh, that's nice to know that there's a possibility that they don't need to have the answers, but if they're willing to be, God, I can come to you about this. We can figure it out and we can address them.
I love that. I don't know. Like, I can't pretend that I know.
Don't do that. Don't do that, right? It won't work.
I don't know but together we can find it. We can figure it out. That's beautiful.
Oh my God, it's so good, man.
That's
so
so
good. It's like the prayer, this verse that says, "Come to Him in prayer, supplication, and thanksgiving." So you're pretty much when you come in and say prayer, you're actually saying, "I have nothing that I can give you
Yeah.
that has any value, but I'm coming before you and saying, do you have an answer? Can you show me? I have at least a reference to you." It says the beginning of wisdom. Fear of the Lord or reverence of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So you don't even have to have your ducks together. But this is what I have. I don't have anything. I have nothing to give you. Can you please help? That's so beautiful.
That's really beautiful. I'm just reminded by while you guys were speaking. I mean, I don't have children yet. I'm not yet married, and I'm just listening to the both of you. You're both fathers as well, and you being an adoptee, you being an adoptive father, and just realizing that, you were speaking about, John was speaking about coming to the Father, and having that fear still, but you know that He is the answer that you need, the healing that you need. And I think it's really powerful when parents are able to say, like you said, that I don't know the answers. I don't know what to give you, but like, let's figure it out together, but go to the Father who has all the answers. And I think that's the difference then. It's like knowing that, the Father, God the Father, knows everything. He has the healing that we need, because I think adoptive parents will also have to walk through that healing, like you were saying, the journey of your mom. And just knowing that God has everything. And He understands exactly what it feels to be a father. He knows exactly what it feels to be a son, even an adoptive son. We can talk more about that later on. But like, He designed all of this, and He designed each person. And so He knows exactly what each person needs and how to approach each situation and each person. And I think that's really powerful to know, even for adoptive parents, that even for me, like I'm not adopted, but if I heard my parents tell me and I'm able to come to them and share with them, this is what I'm going through, maybe there might be some fear. But if I heard my parents say, I don't know, but let's figure it out together. I'll walk with you through this. That in itself will already bring healing. And your child, which might even feel like, especially for an adoptive child, might have some sort of insecurities or feeling of insecurities.
Helps them to be like, so you don't know either? That's a relief. It's like we can kind of go this at the same pace. That's. And
I think it's a small phrase, but I feel like there's a lot of messaging that goes, that there's a message behind it that's saying,
so good.
I see you and I see you're struggling, and I'm not going to attempt to fix you. But I'm committed to being with you through it. Is really what it's saying. And I think that's liberating on all fronts, right? What Karissa said, like, I don't need to have all the answers for my child. I just have to be there. I have to be with my child through it. And
so good. So good.
Were there moments, or were there things they said that helped in that process?
Well, a lot of the, honest to God, the best advice came from people who are God-fearing people. I was just being completely honest. It's nice to have good practice things, but when I see people who are anchored in something bigger than them, that helped a lot. So like, just acknowledging what we said before, it's like, I don't know, but I know someone who does. And even if I'm practicing it, people are smarter than you think. They just don't even know it. They know like, he believes in something that helps them. Okay, I'll just do what they're doing. So God doesn't necessarily ask us like, believe how I believe, or like, sometimes just do what I show you to do. Just start doing it, and you'll be amazed at like, there's something behind that. There's a person, there's a being behind that. So I gave you all these things in my word, and that helped too, especially the word, man. It helped me to identify what it was. He's like, if you just do this, you'll find me. I'll make myself known. Just keep applying, and all of a sudden it clicks. And it somehow it rewires you. It's like a rewiring of the brain. Simple thing is being thankful. I even heard about stories about that, thankfulness in general. It can rewire your brain scientifically. So you're saying that if I just do that, I can actually do work in me that I can't perceive what's going on. Just stick to it. Just stick to it. And then eventually God he's amazing like that, where he just shows up. He's like, hey, you found me.
I mean, we've been speaking a lot about about the adoptive parents, like what adoptive parents you think might need to hear. But I wanted to ask you, like, throughout growing up, hearing your adoption story, just knowing that you're adopted, and going through, you said, people questioning, like, who are your real parents, and going through that process, and even figuring out who you are, and meeting your biological parents, and all of that mashed into one. Knowing what you know now, what would you have wished someone told you that during all those years?
That's a really good question. What's one thing that I wish someone had told me?
That you think would have helped you at that time?
Yeah, it's okay to not know what you're going through. And that's the hard thing, is when you have a problem, you wish you had a result. You're like, I wish I had an answer to this, but I have no idea what this is. A lot of times, that was mostly my issue. Is like, I got something, and I'm afraid if I bring it up, you're gonna judge me pretty fast. Because I think you don't. If I don't know, how are you gonna know? So it was just the mere fact, like it's okay if you don't know what it is, and that's actually the beauty of it. Actually, is like, knowing that, and knowing it's like, okay, I don't know, but you're not wrong. And it's just like, thank you, because I don't know what to do with it. And then if I can look at you and know that you're at least being honest with me, that you don't know about it, it's like, okay, I feel a little better now. I feel like we're at least on the same level here, and because I don't think you have the answer, but I just need to talk about it. And that was a big thing. I wish I had more often, not just to feel safe in saying that I had it. Because most people, I don't know what it is, but I feel like mostly with a lot of adopted kids, it's just like they have the issue and they just don't feel safe to talk about it. And that's a really dangerous place to be. I have that perverted and twisted and manipulated in my head what I can do to quench it. So that was my biggest problems. When I didn't feel safe, I'll find something else to numb it. That's the only alternative. You find something to compensate for it. Or you can use your anger, you can use pornography, you can use bad relationships. You'll find a way. The brain needs to have a solution. Like your heart needs to find the healing. But if it can't find it in a legitimate source, it's gonna be like, all I can do is rely on this crutch. And you know what? It gives a false sense of security, because it does kind of show up. I was deeply entrenched in pornography, I'm gonna be honest, for years until that broke off. Why? Because it gave me a sense of I can escape my problem. And until I realized that is not a really good solution, it's actually doing a lot more damage, and it took me time. When I got delivered of that, thank you, Jesus, I got delivered from that. But I was like, I'm like, okay, there actually is a feeling of euphoria, blessing, and actually, I can actually get what I'm looking for from you, just enjoying you. And man, there's so many things that an adoptee can resort to. Me, actually, when I was younger, it was actually anger. I loved anger because it made me feel powerful. I can get things out of it. I can make you angry. If I can make you angry, I see result. I get results. It's terrible results because they never last very long. That's what I learned. But I can get something out. I can manipulate you with my anger. I can strawman you. And then I realized, man, I'm just as miserable as I was, but it helped me for a little bit. So having that safe place, I wish people were more often than not, where it's like, just tell me what's going on. And when those moments, when I saw it, I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know I can actually talk about this, without being judged. And that actually was the scariest part, because when I brought it up, I was like, man, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I was to be so scared. I used to be like, oh, man, this sucks. I don't want to do this because it never works out for me. But when you see God-fearing people who have some kind of emotional intelligence about it and say, you're safe, it's like, whoa, I didn't know that was a reality. And once that, and then I had to be exposed to that for years to get it. But I was, in some ways I would test it too. I'm like, maybe I would just make it hard for them. But those people who were submitted to principal truths, being patient, kind. I mean, it's in the word. It's like fruit. I was looking for fruit. So if you tell me if I slap whatever, I get angry at you, and you're not wavering, it's proof that what you do is real. And it was like, and that a lot of adoptees do that. They'll test you. They'll be like, yeah, you're just gonna abandon me like everyone else. I know this as a certainty in my own heart, but if I can see that you're not wavering, it's like, man, maybe what they believe is actually real. But I had to see it, and I had to taste it in order to have any assurance that I can do it. But that's the thing. It's not about believing it first. Usually, it's more about seeing and tasting it.
A lot is caught rather than taught.
Yeah.
So what I'm. This is so great. Thank you. I mean, and thank you for the courage to talk about it. And I think it's evident that you've done a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you found those safe spaces and anchors. And I'm learning a lot. You can sense the anchor and the peace and the fruit, right? Is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
There's some people who you thankfully you were able to encounter.
Yeah.
Who you could sense they're anchored. And there's something strong. There's the fruit. You can see there's emotional intelligence there. You could see there's patience. And those were actually so healing. But they had to do work in order to show up that way for you.
Exactly.
And
you had to do
sorry,
the work
I'm always
too.
bringing it back to, as a parent, I have to do work. I have to do the work to be a stable, anchored person so that those who are broken, my children, will be able to find God through that, because they'll catch it. I can teach them. I can preach to them all I want. Yeah. but until they feel that sense of that security,
see it
and the fruit of the way I live my life.
Yep.
That's really what it is, right?
Yep.
Amazing.
That's a really good advice, actually, even for the parents. Because even now, like I said, I don't have children yet, but even now, I'm diligently working on the inner work for me, because I want to be prepared for my children. Because even I don't know, like even people who are not adopted also have things they have to go through, and I want to be a safe space for my children and like my future husband also, and that I don't put whatever I've been through in the past on them. And so I think that's really powerful advice and insight, that even parents have to do the hard work, not just the children, not just the kids. And I guess to add to that, as we close, well, I have another question for you as we close, but before that, maybe if there's some other words of wisdom or advice for the parents, not just even the parents, I think even for families, communities that are surrounding adoptees, what would you tell them to, as they walk with adoptees through this journey of being more secure, finding who they are, just going through this journey of being who God created them to be? Yeah,
honestly, it's so funny because I sound so Christianese when I say it. Like when you're going through this and you're in that position, you need to, if this word says, seek me and find me, right? And if you don't know how it is to fix it, or you don't even know how it is to feel that kind of transformation, the good thing about the word of God, it gives you cause and effect. So I would say read Job, Psalms, Proverbs, and Ecclesiastes. They give you a really good spectrum of this happens, this happens. It gives you all the kind of spectrum. So when you are actually seeking him and you actually look at, like I said, I look at verses and I say, okay, if you say this, this happens. Those are the kind of things, even if you don't really believe it at first, you can know it with a surety that's truth. It's like gravity. It's like this phone is going to drop every single time. And it's not always going to be it's like a 99% success rate. Doesn't mean that maybe God will do something or maybe permit something to happen, but I know if I just do this every single time, as the word says, be thankful, and you get this result. And not always may show up right away, but I know just that little bit, I can rely upon that. Everything else, though, and I've realized this happens a lot in the world. They'll pick up symptoms. So you had to be discerning in a way. Be like, okay, I know I got a problem, but the only excuse that I have in my life was like, after I saw it and tasted and seen it for myself, I had to train my mind to recognize it. There's different parts of it. There's knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Knowledge is knowing that, okay, that's a camera. The camera does. Understanding is knowing that what it does. Wisdom is knowing the application of that. So every time, okay, now that I know that why this happens, why does gravity work? How does it work? And then all of a sudden, when you know it, I understand. Now I can use gravity to my own benefit. It's like a basketball player. He's like, okay, I know that the ball always comes up, it defies gravity, bounce it. Now I know how to manipulate and use gravity to my advantage. It's like the same thing. You had to find your anchor. And the only anchor that I know that worked, and this is for someone who is a believer and who isn't one. So if you don't believe in God, fine, that's cool. But the principles still work. And thank God he gives that free to everybody. It's like, okay, you don't have to believe what I have to tell you, but you can just know that if you are thankful, or let's say that you are repentant, or you do this, you're going to see fruit from it. And eventually you're going to ask, where's that coming from? I don't have to preach to you. I'll just let you just keep messing around with the toy until you get it. And that helps me, because you know what? It makes me anchored in something that's beyond human capability. Because if you base it upon a Joe Rogan or whatever, it's like you're going to find a lot of fault. You're going to find that they have problems too. So you need to find your anchors. And the best anchor that I know is get rooted in truth. Or even it's a truth if you get angry, that you at least you can recognize that the fruit of that's not going to be beneficial. Just ask God for the knowledge for it. Okay, but that happens, I get this result. So I always say, find your anchors and learn to master them. That's what I would say. The best advice I have, because like I said, I can't really attribute to my own. All I've ever done was just do what it said to do. That's all. I can't say I figured it out. I'm like, yeah, but it took by me just saying, all right, I could just trust this. I might not feel that, but I know if I just keep going, I'll eventually get it. That's my only assurance I would say to people.
No, I think that's really good. You did mention earlier in the conversation, there were some, without a doubt, there are some things that there's some wounds, and there's something so deep.
Yep.
And there are a lot of there's a lot of advice. There's a lot of science. That's all great.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things they're learning now about the brain that helps with healing. Mm-hmm. But some of these things go so deep.
Only go so deep.
That
yeah.
There's the only solution is God.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, you can treat the symptoms as you said, but all these symptoms have a deep root. And I love that you said that earlier. Yeah. Even as it's a Holy Week series, there's a lot of books, a lot of great. There's a lot of great advice. There are a lot of things we talked about, but there's some things there's some things that only God can address.
Yeah.
And only he can set you free.
I want to add one thing to that. It says God holds his word above his name. It's Psalms, I forgot what it was, in Psalms. He says that when you apply it, he is almost legally obligated to meet you there. He's like, if you just simply say that, I'll come, I'll go to you. I will meet you there. I'll do the impossible for you. All you got to do is throw your stick down, Moses, and hit the ground. He's like, what I mean with I'm asking you just to do that, just to do it. And boom, all of a sudden the impossible happens. That's what really is what's happening with a lot of people. I have an impossible situation. I cannot fix this, man. It's obvious. It's really there. It's just like, all I got to do is just do that. And all of a sudden, you'll be man. That's the part that amazes me. It's like, I'm going to do what you asked me to. You inquired of me. You talked about it. He meets you there. And that's the part where you're going to get blown out of water. It's like, wow, that actually worked. And he's like, now we have a history. Now you know that I am your father and I can be there for you whenever you need me. Yeah. And man, that's where it's really at.
Yeah. Well, Alex, as we close,
yeah,
I have one last question
Sure.
for you. With everything that God has revealed to you, everything you've learned throughout your journey, who can you say now is Alex Mendelson?
I say without a shadow of doubt, I am a child of the living God. I was bought at a tremendous price. And nothing I did ever earned that. I just simply accepted it. And if if anything you can do in your life, if anything you can pursue, you can get that and feel that and experience it, it's the best feeling in the world. I know who I am. I have nothing to prove. I thank him for everything.
Amazing. I think a lot of us spend our lives trying to be significant, trying to be someone. And everything we do is to find some sense of significance in myself.
Wow.
But the moment we accept that I was bought at a price and I'm a son of God, I am given significance. And now everything I do is from significance.
Yeah.
And I think that's the power of adoption when we say, I will give my life for you because I want you to be my son.
Yeah.
That in itself is saying, you may have been sold, you have maybe been left to decide, but I am giving you my life. I'm giving you my name. I'm giving you my inheritance.
That's it.
And you are significant.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful answer to that question, Karissa. I think.
Oh my goodness.
That's so good.
Thank you for just the courage to share your story. Thank you for doing that work, for your heart, to allow this story to bless others. Thank you for being here, for being a friend. And I'm sure this your story is gonna bless others.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I mean, we've spoken about this before too, but I just want to say the power of God and his redemption in your life is so evident. Yeah. And I'm going to try not to be emotional about this, but I told you yesterday how adoption is God's design.
Yes.
And one story that really pops up to me, if you look at the Bible and so many people who have brought others into freedom in the Bible are people who were adopted.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage you and also the listeners who are adoptees, who are parents of adoptees, adoptive parents, that this is also for you, John, that you don't know the person you're walking with. Like for example, for adoptive parents, you don't know the person you're raising, what God has intended for them. And for adoptees, you know, your story may have started a little bit rocky, but God can redeem anything. And he never wastes anything. He always has a plan for every single moment of your life. Even in brokenness, God can make it into something beautiful. And we see that in Alex's life. And so thank you so much, everyone, for listening to this episode of the Family is the Answer podcast. Subscribe to this podcast so that you'll be updated for the next episode. And please comment what other topics would you like to hear? Do you want to keep seeing maybe Alex keep joining us in future episodes and John to join us even more in future episodes? We're so grateful and we hope that you have such a blessed week. Bye.
That was the Family is the Answer podcast by Generations Home, powered by Podcast Network Asia. Learn more about ending the orphan crisis and fueling our work through our website, generationshome.org. You can also find us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you found this podcast helpful, please leave us a rating so more people can find it too. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you at our next episode.